How to be happy. Hey and welcome. It's day 12 of our 90-day comeback challenge. I had a fantastic weekend, a beautiful Sunday with the family, with the kids, with friends. And if I look a bit sweaty, it is because I played basketball this evening in Singapore in the so-called hot box. I don't know why there's no air conditioning in that gym. It's so freaking hot, but that's good. So, yeah, had a lot of fun. And so I thought, I wanted to do one day a week where maybe it's a bit more of a mindset topic, right? In this case, it's really about happiness. And I believe if you truly ask people what do they really want out of life, then I think most people would say they would just want to be happy. And the key question obviously is how to be happy. And some people always say, well, to be successful, there's a science behind it, but to be happy, it's more of an art. And I'm not really sure this is true because actually there are a lot of studies being done on happiness and obviously on depression and so on and so on and so on. One of the most famous experiments is the experiment of the rat park. You can Google that or look it up on Wikipedia. And it's very impressive to see that experiment. And the idea behind it is a super simple one. They had two kind of setups. One was a setup full of rats. They were completely alone, but in return, they had access to drugs. And on the other side, there was the exact same setup, but the rats were not alone. They had a lot of friends. They could, I don't know, go into like all kinds of things in their little cages and so on. So they had meaningful relationships. And the super powerful thing here is that those rats that were alone, they never managed to develop meaningful, deep relationships. They really suffered from rat depression. They took drugs and at the end, sadly, died a very miserable life. And those rats had the same access to drugs and they had the same kind of, well, theoretical, destructive kind of behavior, but because of their meaningful relationships, they didn't do that. And there's one very common denominator, and it's also very evident in humans, and that is the absolute key predictor of how happy you are in life is actually how meaningful and how deep your relationships are. And obviously, this starts with your family and your parents, where this is sometimes very difficult. So sometimes this is just, I don't know, water down the bridge that you don't really want to kind of go down and you just let it be. That could simply be a good answer there. But obviously, it has to do with your wife, your husband, your kids. It has to do with your really, really good friends. And at the end, and I obviously really, truly 100% believe that, obviously, if you are sick or if you have a lot of pain, it really makes it difficult to be happy. I get that. Having no money makes it difficult to be happy. Having a lot of financial worries, having business worries, I get it. It makes it difficult to be happy. However, you have people who have all the money in the world. You have like superstars, right? Super famous, and they are admired by so many people. But they never develop those deep meaningful relationships because they cannot trust anyone. And at the end, they are depressed, they're very, very sad, and it's very, very difficult. And so, for me, if I look at this, right, and I just look at today, I mean, today, Sunday, was a day full of meaningful relationships. It was a day with my kids, bonding with my kids. We went to the gym, we went to the pool, I had Fabrizio over, really good friend, also works in a company. Had a great time with him, played chess with him. We had a good laugh, a good kind of exchange. I spent quality time with my wife. Afterwards, we had a lot of good friends over. We had dinner together. We laughed, we talked, we cheered. I put the kids to bed, and then I went out and played basketball with some really good friends. We had a good exchange, good laughs, and so on. And so, it's at the end, that's to me what life really is all about, and that's where it's really, really cheerful. And so, obviously, the question, right, is how do you build those meaningful relationships? And it depends a bit on how these relationships are, and you will see in some of the further days, we'll actually dive a bit in and dig a bit deeper. And obviously, I don't want to say that I'm an expert on these things. I think there's a lot of people out there who are way better experts. But at the end, I just want to share a bit on what works for me in my life and how we do that. Obviously, we talked about parents, we talked about the existing family. I don't know. I am in this fortunate situation that my parents and I are having an okay relationship. I don't think our relationship is like a super fantastic one, but if I compare our relationship to most other child-parent relationships, I think ours is really good. My relationship with my sister is absolutely okay. Again, not like, I mean, it's also the physical distance, right? I mean, I am in Singapore and she's in Austria, so it just makes it hard. But we're still good friends. And then obviously the deep, passionate, meaningful relationship with your wife. At the end, it comes really down to being creative and investing time. And people always laugh when I say wifey time, and people just always well, they just always make fun of that. But at the end, I think it's so important. Obviously, also the time with the kids, being present. And I posted a really nice quote today, or a nice little poem about being present with your kids and leading by example. And I think especially with the kids, it's important. Now, when it comes to friends and network, obviously a lot of us have good friends from the college times or from school times. For me, that's a bit of the sad part. Most of these friends are either back in Austria or in the US. So yeah, here in Singapore, I really have to kind of build a whole new network of friends. And I still think the easiest time obviously is if you have common interests. Part of that comes from work, part of that comes from sports. I always think sports is actually a very powerful one to do. And yeah, at the end, that's what then gives you this joy when you sit around and I don't know, you're having today we had a glass of wine and we were just laughing and joking, and it was just a very relaxed time, very easy to be in the moment. And I just think that's so essential. One of the other topics, and I had a discussion today with Fabrizio actually in the car. I talked about how dangerous AI is going to be in that, because I think AI is easily going to replace a lot of those friendships. Doesn't matter if it's about a romantic friendship or a friendship just that is there, because an AI is going to be able to adjust and adapt, and it's going to actually take away the human part. And I think that's going to be a very tricky one. And if I am concerned about one thing about my kids, then it's probably going to be the social media 2.0, in a sense where it's not so much anymore where you find communities about a certain topic online. It's you have this companion on your phone or wherever that's just always there, and it's going to, I don't know, give you those things that you desire most in those moments, but it's never really a true friend. And I think at the end, it's going to be very dangerous that people are, well, they're not lonely, but they're gonna feel lonely, and that's a super dangerous kind of situation to be in. So yeah, if you and really that's a key thing. If you are lonely, if you feel lonely, just be sure that you try to reach out to people. And look, if you have a friend out there that you think, you know, that person's going through a rough patch, then reach out. Make sure that that person knows that that person is not lonely, because at the end, it's those meaningful relationships that many times really help that person through. And I speak out of experience. Sometimes in the past 8 months, I felt really lonely. I felt it was just me against everyone else. And I know this wasn't the case, but that's how it feels sometimes. And so it's just even more important to have that support structure around you. So, with that, I hope you had a relaxing, great weekend. I definitely did. I'm looking forward to the upcoming week. We have an action packed week also here on the video 90-day game challenge. We're going to be discussing marketing, we're going to be discussing product, we're going to discuss team, we're going to talk individual productivity. It's going to be super action packed. I'm going to be traveling to Europe for a business trip. So, next Saturday and Sunday, I'll actually be in Europe. And so it's gonna be quite an interesting one. I can take you a bit behind the scenes on various things, so I think we're gonna have a great time. So if you don't want to miss anything, click the subscribe button, stay tuned, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a good Sunday. Yours truly, Julian. Bye bye.